welcome to Slick Audio, Slick Cyber Systems uh, video of the day. We have with us a special guest from Novro Studios. So I am going to have Eric, Sarah, will you guys please introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about the company?
Sure.
You go first.
My name is Eric Novroski, and I'm the owner of Novro Studios and the audio engineer here. So I mix and master everything.
And I'm Sarah Novroski. I am the whole video side of the studio. So, video production, I don't know. I've never actually formally said this, so it's kind of weird. He's used to talking.
See, now you got to restart.
I'm sorry.
All right, you ready?
What should I say? What's a better way of saying
Your job
this?
title.
All right, I need that. There we go.
I know, right?
I'm sorry. I'm always behind the camera. This is weird for me.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Hi, I'm Eric Novroski, and I'm the owner of Novro Studios and the audio engineer.
I'm Sarah Novroski, and I am the whole video side of the studio. I edit and I shoot.
Cool. Way cool. Well, thank you, and both very much for taking some time with us today, and hopefully, when we play 20 questions, which actually I think it's close to it, we want this to be as open discussion as possible and as natural as possible. We obviously our audience that we have, they have issues that they need, problems they need solved. They have questions they need answered, and all in the name of audio, video, and everything in between of what we do. At Slick Audio for the most part, and yes, some of the IT side as well. But so, Eric, I'm going to ask this question to you first. What first got you into music?
Oh boy. My mother started me out on piano when I was way too young to even remember, and I hated it. And I didn't want to take lessons, and I said, forget this, I want a drum set because I want to rock and roll. So at 6, they were like, we're not going to give you a drum set if you're just going to quit, like you're quitting the piano. And I was like, no, I'm not going to quit. I promise I'll play the drums. So they got me a drum set for Christmas when I was 6 years old, and I fell in love with it. And I was like, that's it. I'm going to play music for the rest of my life. And that was the beginning.
So one would say, so that actually bleeds into the next question. So what inspired you to make music? So, so outside of the how you got into it now, let's marry in the other piece. And so what really inspired you?
Okay. I think my inspirations change over time. So when I first was starting to play the drums, I think my inspiration was to not play piano. Like it sounds awful, but yeah, I think my parents were like, you should play an instrument. And I was like, well, if I got to play an instrument, I don't want to play piano. So it starts there. And then, from there, my inspiration shifted to what my parents listened to. And it was, like the Beatles is like their favorite band, Queen. So I would start listening to these bands and I say, hey, these guys are really good. I want to be like that. And then, as I get older and I start developing my own music taste and I start saying, oh, my inspirations are actually shifting to these guys and now this guy. And currently a lot of my inspiration is from producers and mixing and mastering engineers, because that's kind of what I love to do. I mean, I love music as well, but my career and whatnot is obviously mixing and mastering. So when I look at some of the producers that I look at, I was like, these guys are great. They create amazing records, and that's really my inspiration right now. And I bet you 5-10 years from now, it'll probably change to something else, I think my inspirations just are constantly shifting from one thing to the next.
I think that's a very natural progression, and it's funny you mentioned. I mean, I'll just reflect to myself for a minute. So, on my 5th birthday, it was piano as well, but I wanted to take it, and I dove into it hot and heavy, and then when I started getting tired of it, after I don't know how many years it was, almost 10, and then accordion came in, and I took lessons on accordion for 7 years, 8 years.
Nothing more
And,
rock and roll than
and one,
accordion.
and in between all that crap, it was like, it was like I need a guitar, and I was self-taught on that. So of all the classical training I've had,
Yeah.
it's guitar ended up being the mainstay. But I always kind of knew that. I mean, so for me,
Yeah.
Blue Gold, as you know, was my uh, that was kind of my driver from age 7 when I first heard them on up. Before that, it was Elton John,
Yep.
Chicago. Beach Boys, the Beatles, that stuff that my brother, America, the stuff that my brother listened to a lot.
Yeah.
And I heard BOC for the first time, and I was like, I like this, the harder shit. So it's all good. But so
Yeah.
Sarah, I'm gonna now ask you. So what got you into the whole video production slash music stuff as well?
It's funny because for me, um, I didn't really get into it until college. But I always say that a big clue that I probably should have got into it earlier was in high school. I used to make very poor music videos with my cousin, and we actually stopped because she just wanted to do a simple idea. I'm like, let's go from this shot to this shot to this shot to this shot. And she's like, that's too much. You're crazy. We're done. And then we kind of stopped. But then I went to college and I had a really good teacher. And he's like, I really like what you're doing, and just kept encouraging me and encouraging me and encouraging me.
See?
And then I was like, ooh, I love this. I'm good at this. I'm going to pursue this. Um, and then it's funny, I gave it up for a little bit. I started dating him, and he was like, hey, you're good at this. You should do some videos for me. So I was doing a bunch of playthrough videos, and it just spiraled my love for video again. And
So is there a particular band or video, maybe a music video that kind of you looked at, over the years or even lately for that matter, that you just went, wow, that's just too cool. Again,
um,
to help that inspiration kind of a thing. Just curious.
it's funny because I feel like most video people have some kind of inspiration because they love watching movies or videos, but like I don't make sense. I don't really watch movies. We like will watch music videos, so like I've never fully been like necessarily inspired, except I'll be like, "Oh my gosh, this is so cool." But I've always had the mindset, the editing mindset. So a big reason why I don't like watching movies is because all I see are cuts and angles and all of those things that people don't think about. So I can't shut it off.
What an analyst.
You
Uh,
techie, you techie.
so like I don't watch them because my mind's like, wait, that's an awesome shot. Look at that angle. Look at this. I just remember in college there was actually I tend to like a lot of older films because they didn't add a lot of the craziness. They like really had to work to make things happen with what they had available to them. So I've always appreciated that, as well as the coloring in movies. There's a movie called, I want to say, Days of Summer. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. They only shot in golden hour, and that was it for the movie. And so those are the only two kind of things that I could think of for inspiration.
You
But
like
That's okay
people.
because
I do, I
what
do.
you just the picture you just painted for me as a non-video guy, right? I'm the audio guy, and we've worked together, the four of us. So Chris is sitting to my right, my VP of sales, who hates cameras and is just hanging out. So the four of us have really worked together. So if any of you have seen the latest Slick Gaming um, uh, commercial, it's commercials actually too. They're freaking amazing, and they're just, again, I'm not a very good describer of feelings when it comes to video. All I know is when I see something, I like it. And I knew that son of a bitch was going to go off, so I forgot to turn it off. So that and the other one obviously is the Slick Audio, the last Slick Audio commercial. You guys did for us as well, and it was just, as soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, that's it. It says so much with so few words, and just kind of gets the whole meaning and point across. And from my side at least, as a CEO, I've got to look at stuff, and yeah, I know my tech stuff, from the computer side and the audio side, but you get me out of that element, and it's like, yeah, I don't think so. And it's just so. Anyway, it's been amazing, working with you guys already, and this is kind of just the beginning, if you will. But so I'm going to ask some more questions if you don't mind. So this is this is, I guess, Eric, this would probably be more of a question for you. So how would you describe the music that you typically create? So we're shifting, I guess, away from the Novro a bit and heading into the band. So I don't know if you want to touch base on that.
Create as in records that I've produced, or create as in the bands that I'm in?
Yes and yes. So
Okay.
let's start with the bands you're in first, and let's morph over to the production, because that's actually the next question.
Okay, all right. So we'll start with the bands that I'm in. So I am a metalhead through and through. I absolutely love screaming vocals and music that just sounds like a whole bunch of distortion and noise. That is absolutely me. I play in two bands. I play the bass in a band called Toothless, and that has been my main project for many years now. I love those guys to death. They were all in my wedding, and it's just been, it's like a family, like when we get together and whatnot. And I recently just joined another band on drums, because drums is actually my main instrument and my first love. But I joined another band, and we're called So Much Hope, Buried, and we are very like uh, whiny, emotional yelling.
Melodic.
Melodic metalcore is technically the genre, and I love it to death. It's it's like clean singing choruses,
Poetry, very
a lot
poetic.
of, it's very poetic, a lot of poetry involved. Not much has come out from that yet.
Looking forward to hearing that, because that's
Yeah.
actually a genre that I really like. So
Oh, really?
big
It's
time,
awesome.
big time.
So,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
good stuff.
we have a single out now, which I was not in the band when they did that. They had that out, and then they came to me and they were like, "Yo, do you like this?" I said, "I do, actually. Let's get together and write some music." So now we have about 6, 7 songs. We're gonna make an EP, and let that, let the world see what we got cooking. Hopefully soon.
Looking forward to that.
Yes.
You better tune us guys into that, because we need to hear it.
You'll have it first.
Cool. I like that. Nice. Good. So, all right. So now let's kind of shift that over to the Novro side, and
Yep.
let's put the Novro hat on. So what I guess what type of music do you typically work with there, and
Yeah.
then also your creative process? And then Sarah, I'm going to kind of shift that over to you. So when you get that song and you're doing, let's just say, a music video, how does that, or I should say, and after he gets some of the audio side of it, what's your creative process? So it's a double-barreled question there to both.
So I've been very fortunate over the years to have worked with a lot of different genres. I never really wanted to be pigeonholed into just the metal guy. Like, I know that I am in two metal bands technically, but I never wanted to just do metal. Recently, I did finish up a metal band. I work with a rapper very heavily that I think is wonderful, and that he's been releasing a lot of stuff. I just finished up a prog album, which was definitely the biggest record that I've ever done. It was only 5 songs, but like the multi-track session was like 200 tracks. Like it was insane. So that record is not out yet, but I'm very much looking forward to when that gets released. It was a journey. It was a massive journey. Um, but yeah, so like I love doing all genres of music. And when I really sit down, if somebody comes to me and they have a prog record, I feel very comfortable because I've grown up listening to Steve Vai, Satriani, all of these people. Uh, include, and I like to do that with every genre. I listen to everything pretty much. I listen to rap, I listen to metal, listen to country, I listen to pop rock, anything that you can possibly imagine. I usually listen to, and I like to dive into it. So a lot of times when a band will come to me, no matter if we'll just say they're a rapper, I'm like, all right, let's get my mind in the rap world. I'll start listening to a lot of the people that I like. I'll start looking for new people. I'll start analyzing the music in a different way rather than just listening to it and being like, yeah, I like this. I'll start listening to it critically and saying, what is involved in the production of this,
Looking for the
and
nuances.
yeah, what are the nuances? And I do that for every genre. As soon as somebody comes to me, I say, what kind of band are you? And they say, we're this kind of band. And then I immediately just go and try to dive into a bunch of different kinds of music like them to understand and, get acquainted with what exactly they're trying to do. And I would hope that I've done that correctly over the years. I feel like I have. So
I don't think
that's
you'd still be in business if you weren't. So, and then that
probably not.
analysis, that critical thinking, is huge. I don't care what business that you're
Yeah.
owning, running, working at, you've got to put that in. So Sarah, I'm going to shift that over to you now. The same question. So, what's your creative process generally like? You kind of talked a little bit about, the make, the best what you have and the appreciation for certain things. So how does let's talk about your creative flow. I mean, what makes you tick?
Yeah, so for me, it's very interesting because so we end up usually sitting on the couch watching music videos that are like, depending on the genre, we'll kind of get ideas and then be like, okay, a lot of these are very similar. How can we break that and kind of make it more interesting, especially with attention spans anymore don't last very long. So trying to see and be creative and be like,
Yeah.
what can I do? People. What?
I'm just making an attention span joke.
Okay, funny.
Yeah.
But no, for real. And I don't know. I'm very much before I like to do that, I just kind of like really like to focus in on lyrics because usually I'm doing music videos. So really focusing in and tuning into that and seeing how can you make it symbolic? How can you make it um
Metaphorical.
how can you like really portray how the song sounds and how it should look? So he makes fun of me because I always have to have my eyes completely shut while I'm listening to everything because I literally have to envision it. It's just kind of how I work.
I get it.
That's a funny process
It
because
is.
we'll start brainstorming ideas together because I help shoot a lot of the music videos that we do. So I'll say, all right, picture this. And then she'll close her eyes. And I'm like, are you listening to me? Are you paying attention? I was like, come on. And she's like, no, I have to.
I do. I
Screen.
literally have to like close my eyes and kind of like picture it, and like it takes me a while to just even say what I'm seeing because I'm trying to like put it all together. So I'm weird. I mean, maybe
No,
other
that
people are like that. I don't know, but
well, then we're all weird because I do a similar thing when I'm doing final mixes. I'm looking over at the studio. When I'm doing final mixes, I do that a lot. I find myself doing that so I could literally listen to and picture the stage and picture the instruments in front of me. And I try to look for, when I personally mix, I try to listen for the most part for that live soundstage kind of thing and feel.
mhm,
So I get the whole eyes closed thing. I mean,
mhm.
it it's your screen,
It doesn't make sense, but it works, and it's kind of at least it works for
Put
me,
yourself
and
in a
not
different place.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I get it.
And
I think that's part of the whole artist world.
mhm,
Yeah.
We do what we do. We each got our own little thing, and whatever makes us tick, that's way cool.
Creative.
All
yeah.
right, so here's going to be this can be a fun one. If you had a choice or a chance to collaborate with any artist or video production person,
I already know.
Ooh,
who would it
wait.
be? Who would it be?
Musically,
Me.
mine is Owl City. His name is Adam Young, and
Adam Young, big fan of.
he is probably my favorite person. Well, maybe my wife, but in music, he is
Me?
just an incredible songwriter, an incredible musician, an incredible producer, mixing engineer, mastering engineer. He does all of it himself. And just on top of that, just an awesome person that I really respect as a person. Yeah, Adam Young from Owl City. Please, I would love to work with him.
You know, that's way cool because I don't know if you've watched any of our real old videos, but I mention Adam a lot
Yeah.
in the old videos. And I think one of the things that took me back immediately with him, the first time I heard Fireflies, well, first of all, I was blown away. The song. It was a great song, right? Nice
Yeah.
and melodic, and just kind of, and that, I'm listening. I'm like, well, there's obviously a lot of, EDM and
Yeah.
stuff in that. For those who don't know what that is, electronic digital music. Yeah, it was very electronic. And then I found out that he did the whole damn thing in his basement on Reaper. I think it was Reaper, wasn't it? Did the whole thing on his basement on this old PC,
Yep.
on Reaper, and came out and blew a #1 single right out. And I'm like,
Yep.
well, if he can do that, then anybody can do it that has the talent,
Yep.
musically, creatively, etc.
Yep.
If you got the right stuff, you don't need a whole hell of a lot of equipment to be able to make that dream come true. So
Yeah.
that actually harkens back, Sarah, to your comment of, when they could do something great with something simple, and that, right? So that talent is talent, and if it's natural, if it's genuine, and and then of course it always helps when if you're a good person too. I mean, and
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
certain I've never met him for all the times at NAMM, and I've never come across him. I wish I would, because I agree. I'd be one I'd like to meet.
I would love to. I would absolutely love to.
That would be cool. All right, so
Yeah.
Sarah, I'm going to ask you the same question.
Okay,
So,
for
and this may
me,
not be a musical thing. This may be a video thing. So,
it's definitely video. So it depends on what we're talking about. If we're talking commercials, Schiffer,
Oh.
Daniel Schiffer, love him. He's actually in Canada, and he just shoots commercials from inside of his house. And he'll actually do a lot of videos like on his iPhone saying, "Hey, you can do this too." Like, kind of like everyone kind of wants to edit like him, and he's amazing. So if you look him up, he's amazing.
Yeah.
If I'm talking music videos, I really like Joey Durango. And then I don't remember Lee something. I forget what his name is. We watched the videos of him.
Oh no, he's on YouTube.
He's on YouTube.
Lee, it starts with a K, I think.
Something like that. He's
Oh,
really good.
Now I feel bad.
And,
Sorry, Lee.
And then it's weird. I have multiple.
Clinton
Tustin is
Clinton
also
Tustin.
very good.
Love him.
Who's Foursquare? Or not Foursquare. Square Up.
Oh, Eric DiCarlo.
Eric DiCarlo.
Yep.
And if I had to go back to, is it Buster Keaton? Correct me if I'm wrong. Keaton.
Buster Keating. I know
Keating.
that name.
You know who I'm talking about? For the old films.
I feel like I know that name.
Oh, it's old black and white stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I still love it. For the attention span that I have personally, I have none. He can tell you about that. I get so drawn in those movies because no one's talking and you have to pay attention and you don't know what's gonna happen. And when they're talking, it's subtitles, so you have to read. And now if I watch any other movies, I'm just like, where's the phone? Scroll. Like, I don't know. It's just captivating to me. So I'd say him as well. I'm all over the place.
You know what? That's good. I mean, you've mentioned a lot of names that I'm sure a lot of our audience doesn't know, and we'll do our best to tag their their website or Facebook page or something in the video, so at least we can let the audience experience some of it. I mean, and to try to get into your heads and understand what where you guys are coming from. I think that's way cool. So, all right, I'm going to shift here and get to another question. So, Eric, this is a you question. Band, not studio.
Yep.
If you could open a show for any artist, who would it be?
Oh boy. Does it have to make sense?
No.
Like in the
Doesn't make
genre?
any sense. Any
No,
genre.
well, Adam Young, Fireflies.
Okay, all right, well,
No, I do talk about this a lot when the band gets interviewed and whatnot, but there's a band called Every Time I Die, who we would fit with really well, that I absolutely love. Norma Jean, love them. There's a band called The Chariot that they're not a band anymore, but that would be amazing if they had some sort of reunion or some kind of show. I would love to actually play with them. I think, yeah, like my dream would be like Owl City, and it wouldn't make any sense because we're some crazy mathcore band.
To the 1975.
That's right.
But yeah,
It doesn't have to, because it's obviously hypothetical, right? And the
Yeah.
whole point is to gravitate towards that. Geez, that this would be like the pinnacle of my musical career, outside
Yeah.
of obviously hitting, top 10 stuff, right? But
yeah.
cool, good, all right. Well, it gave us a good taste. Good. I'll say, boy, Adam's getting a lot of plugs here. We're gonna have
He's
to
the best.
send him a little
He's
note.
the best.
I'm going to skip the next one because I don't think it's applicable to this. But so Chris, you had to throw a funny one in here. What's the most useless talent you have? Not useful, but useless.
Useless talent that I have. Huh. What do I do that's useless?
I don't have many talents.
I'm really putting you guys on the spot here.
Yeah, I know.
I
This is
have to
like
think
really
about
confusing.
it. That's the thing. Useless talent.
Mine's my stupid trivia. So,
Yeah.
and it's like, at my age, at this point, you just get so much useless trivia in there. And my kids make fun of me all the time. Now we're talking when it's 29 years old, the other one's 25. And they just make fun of me constantly. But now they're starting to use like some of the trivia, and then I just start busting their ass right back. It's just
Right.
it's funny.
Yeah.
So, so that's my useless or semi-useless talent, for whatever it's worth.
I don't know if I can think of one right now because
Yeah,
like,
I don't
I'm
know.
thinking of what I could. I used to be able to take my legs and like be able to take glasses off my face. If that's useless,
From,
I
like,
don't
behind
know.
her head.
Like I'd go behind my head and I would take glasses off my face. I used to do that.
That's good.
I stopped stretching, so clearly that doesn't happen anymore.
I can.
What? And Eric, you don't nothing
I
nothing
don't
like
know.
that.
Like I can somewhat consistently get noise out of a didgeridoo.
There you go. That could be considered potentially useless talent. Have you didgeridoo players?
We actually used that on a Toothless track. I didn't play it. I believe Travis did. He's the vocalist of Toothless, and very like somberly underneath one of the parts, there's a didgeridoo going. Not
I
for
think
literally
things are
no
cool.
reason besides just like, yeah, there's a didgeridoo in this song.
That's neat. I think it's cool. I think it's a cool instrument. All right, I'm gonna get away. We'll get away from the useless stuff now, because useful is kind of what we're all about. But I thought it was kind of funny.
Oh, it's kind of parroting everything.
Yeah.
That's it.
See, I'm sorry, I'm cheating looking at the question.
Totally fine.
You can cheat. It's allowed. Editing will fix it.
All right, how do you feel the internet has impacted the music and video business?
Oof. Good, except social media, having to keep up with it sometimes is a challenge. So like it's good because you get a lot of people who see something you release and they're like, oh, that's awesome, I want it. And then you get clients or, I mean,
I think positive, negative. I think there's good and bad things about it. I would probably lean on saying it's more good than bad.
yes.
We've gotten most of our clients because of the internet. We're doing this because of the internet. I think word of mouth is big, but the amount of times that we'll get hit up after a video comes out, they said, "Oh my gosh, I just saw whose ever's video that we did. I love it. Let's do something." I think I don't know. I think the negative of it, I mean, it's hard to keep up with,
It
but I
is.
think that's just could be our fault.
I
Not
think-
really a negative of the internet.
Yeah, it's almost like if you're not constantly interacting and putting out things constantly, because it depends on who's coming to you as
Yeah.
well. So like I can make things at home, but I can't say, hey, random band, come here, let me shoot something for you, because it's also like my job. So like I want to be able to put content out there, but it's waiting for people sometimes, especially in this kind of work. So then it's like you want to keep up and you want to keep posting and you want to not get lost in the web, but
Yeah.
then it depends. Like you can so easily.
I think
So,
the culture of the internet is the hardest part and like the biggest downfall, because we've gotten to this culture with the internet of like, if you're not posting all the time, then your stuff gets lost in the mix and nobody really, sees it. So I think
and that
that's
all
really,
that,
yeah.
that all comes back very much to the. I mean, we battle that obviously on all three companies, right? And
Oh yeah.
I did mention the slick gaming computers thing, but you guys, did commercials for that as well. So,
Yeah.
but the you get lost. It's you're right. It requires an incredible amount of work and consistent work,
Hmm.
consistent feeds, which I have been guilty as hell of not doing the volume. And Chris sitting there smiling and with a half a disgust look in his face. Yeah, and it's true. So yeah, that culture, which is obviously driven by the search engines, right? I mean, Google specifically. I mean, Google just kind of shoves you right down into the bottom of the pit. And even though you have worthwhile things to look at and that sort of thing, they're constantly looking for how do we, get the best content to the next person, that's looking. And as I get that, I also look at it as, eventually when you're if you guys remember the Matrix, right? The girl in the red dress. Okay,
Yeah.
so eventually in New York City, the girl in the red dress gets washed away too, because there's a million girls in the red dress,
Yep.
or guys in the red dress anymore, right? So I better leave that alone. Um, but this is what happens when Jim gets on a talk and roll. Um, so yeah, I mean, I get it. And to that point, one beyond is the monetization of how do
Hmm.
we make money on this so-called free content. I
Yeah.
mean, that to me is, and I think most artists, especially the ones that have already made it, and obviously a lot of our endorsees share this with me on a very regular basis. It's like, everything's given away for freaking free and da 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 da. Yeah, they're right. I mean, we folk who do this all for a living, we put an extraordinary amount of effort, talent, time, you know, sweat equity, brain equity, into making a product, right? That somebody's either going to watch or listen to, or a combination thereof.
Hmm.
And and we're not getting paid for three-quarters of it or more. And that, I think, it's
Right.
absolutely disgusting. It's disgusting. It's
Yeah.
absolutely disgusting. Hey, Apple, how about you make the next phone, right? And I want you, or Android, whoever, and I want you to give it away for free. And no, you can't make any money ever. Oh, well,
Yep.
all right. Yeah, we'll give you 3 cents per phone. You really
Right.
think that would fly? Of course not. I mean, it's
Yeah.
crap.
I
It's
think
absolute
Yeah.
crap. And I get really disgusted at that. And it's disgusting for you guys, because you need to keep studio and video studio running. It's disgusting for us from manufacturing side and the retail side of audio.
Yep.
It's rough, because our customers, your customers, my customers, even though you're my customer, right? But at the end of the day, I mean, the guys and gals that are playing this stuff for a living and trying to make, literally, and getting, royalty of 3%, two and a
Yeah.
half percent. Kidding me?
Yeah.
And now they want to take some of that away and get it down to like one and a quarter. I'm like, it's just disgusting. Anyways, I could rant about that for a freaking hour.
So could
It's not
I.
video. All right.
I
Well,
think
I think we're all kind of on the same page there with the internet, and its impact. It's without a doubt, it's an extremely impactful
Yeah.
platform, and it's the future of where everything is today. Well, it's today and the future of it in my eyes. Um, virtualization, especially now that we're in the whole COVID nightmare,
mhm,
and
Right.
it's crazy. Yeah. So,
yeah.
all right, let's get on to the next question. Da, 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 da. So let's talk about gear. I got to talk about gear, and yeah, how about it, man? Gear is
Gear. All the
if you're in
gear.
if you're in this business, you got to love gear. I mean, so you know, Eric, I'm going to start with you, and then and Sarah bleed into the video side, because obviously there's two distinct, factions here, but they definitely meet in the middle a lot. So let's start with the audio side, because obviously most of our folks are audio guys. So hammer at it, baby. Go, tell me.
About the gear.
Yeah.
I have so much gear that I'm trying to sell most of it.
Let's do the highlights of, what do you use day to day,
Okay.
and how do you make your magic?
Okay. So my number one piece is my Slick audio computer. I mean, it is. So, I mean, realistically, we have 3 of them, and there's a reason that we have 3 of them. And that, yeah, and probably 4 eventually.
Well,
so
you basically have the audio one in the studio. You have my video one here, and then you have the gaming one here. So I mean,
yeah, I mean we got
the triangle, we got the trinity of
the Trinity. Yes, it's the holy trinity of computers.
But yeah, no, my studio obviously relies heavily on a computer. I need a computer. Everything is mostly in the box. Yeah, I have some outboard gear that I use, but I mix in the box and I do everything in the box. So that box is really important. And that box is a Slick computer. But from there, I am trying to even redo my current interface kind of setup. I think the next piece is probably going to be a Grace Design monitor control, because
very well,
because they're amazing. And I think it's called the M905 or 9. Yeah. Oh my gosh, there's a black version and a silver version. I see the silver version everywhere. I want the black version. But I don't know where it is, but I'll find it eventually. But yeah, trying to get that. I think eventually, and I know how you feel about this, but I think eventually I'm going to go for that Antelope Galaxy. I love it. I think it's incredible. It's got everything that I need. The Dante is going to be super important. I use what are my I use an in-ear system, a personal monitor system for everybody tracking, and I forgot what it's called. But they're incredible. Anyways, I have so much gear, I can't remember.
Time.
But
knowing we're an Antelope dealer, and a Grace dealer as well. I mean, that's I think that already, just those 2 pieces you've talked about. I mean, the Galaxy 64, by the way, for those who don't know, Antelope's new flagship 64 in, 64 out, insane interface. Yeah, it's some big coin, but I mean, think about it. One 2U unit doing 64 in, 64 out. That's insane. And it has Dante and it's Thunderbolt and all the fun stuff that goes with it. They're great stuff.
That's what I need.
So yeah, I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What are you using right now? You're using Focusrite right now, right?
Yeah, so I have a Focusrite Red 8 Pre. It's good. I like it. It has a little bit of trouble with PC. They recently released some drivers for PC, and hit or miss, couple issues that I continue to keep having. So not trying to trash any company, but it is what it is, and it's not the right solution for me. I know that they're super sturdy on Macs, but I don't think a Mac will ever be the solution for anybody. But it is what it is. So I am looking to kind of upgrade that. I am a heavy Studio One user. I will never go back to Pro Tools after moving away from Pro Tools. I hate it, and I will be very vocal about how much I hate it.
Rick Knockby, you'll be loving that comment, right?
Oh no.
Rick's the executive VP of Personas, and we'll probably be watching this video fairly shortly on. So
good. Well, Rick, it is the best DAW on the planet, hands down. I think the only complaint that I think that I would have is the video integration gets a little wonky sometimes. But I realize it's a DAW and not really video
not both.
anyways.
It's
So
not a
yeah.
both software. It's not innuendo. It's not meant to be. But I think in time they're going to come out with a
Oh yeah.
both piece.
So I think that critique is like not even, almost not even worth saying. The DAW is hands down the best. So that record that I did, that has like 200 tracks, which this I wanted to come out with a vlog about because I had, I think, 32 amp sims running as we were tracking that, and Studio One held up perfectly, and so did the Slick computer, and that's 32 amp sims. I mean, not only that, I was also running EQs across the board, pretty much compressors across the board. Like I said, I do everything in the box. So
What amp sims were you running? Really,
all the neural
all
DSP stuff.
neurals?
Oh my gosh, I love them to death.
They're
I
killer.
think,
I've got them all. Yeah, I love them.
yeah, the Gojira one that just came out recently. I haven't officially bought it, but I did try the 14-day trial, and it is like, oh, I will be buying it soon. I don't know exactly when, but soon. But I usually use the Nolly and the Pliny, and 32 of them is insane.
Mhm.
Like
Yes, it
insane.
is.
And it made, because the DAW held up, because the Slick computer held up, I was able to have my workflow just like rip through it because I didn't have to worry about like, oh great, well I'm kind of running out of some processing here, so I need to do different things. I was just like, new track with the amp sim on it, use it. So like as we were like playing back and whatnot, it was fine. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is insane. Like I have friends who have, they'll put on four of them and their computer's screaming. And they're like, it can't handle it. So having 32 of them is, like I said, I want to do a vlog and like a case study or whatever about it because it is really impressive. It really is.
Would love that. Thank you. I mean, that's
Yeah.
obviously our goal, but my goal is, beyond the obvious of, hey, look at the number of you. You mentioned a key
Right.
thing there, and that's workflow. If your workflow as an engineer and then eventually producer with that, you got to have it. I mean, it's
Oh my gosh.
now. It's not 10 minutes from now. It's right now.
Yeah.
So that's way
Right.
cool.
And I do get people telling me a lot, not to brag, but that I'm very fast. So because of my gear and because of what I have that's helping me be that fast, like I had old computers where they couldn't keep up with me, and now I feel good because I can't possibly tax the computer out. Like whatever I want to do and as fast as I want to do it, it's going to do it. So I'm really fast when it comes to drum editing and whatnot, and that's all because of my gear pretty much. Um, so yeah, I think the computer, my interface, which I would like to get the Antelope Audio, and then Studio One are like the big, obviously like the main pieces of the studio. That's what I use on a daily basis, and that's what helps me create the records that I create.
Cool. Cool. Do
Yeah.
you have, I got to ask this one just because I think everybody's got theirs. Do you have a favorite reverb plugin?
Uh, you know what? Yes. I don't want to say that it's my favorite where I use it all the time,
No,
because there
kind of
are
like,
applications, here and there, but all the fab filter stuff. That's actually another thing. All the fab filter stuff is, you want to talk about workflow. That takes my workflow to the next level. Their EQs are incredible, and I always use the reverb from them. There's a preset on that. It's called Big Blue Hall, I think, and I fell in love with it. It's my favorite reverb, hands down. And like I said, different applications, but just that
sure.
sound just like tailors to me so
Yeah,
much.
you always had that, but being that came top of mind, I mean, obviously it's a critical for it. Mine's
Oh yeah,
Altiverb.
yeah,
I like Altiverb. Altiverb's one of my
yeah,
favorites. Just that real big, like those ambient,
yeah,
IR. It's like cool.
yeah, yeah,
All right, so we got a great picture, mentally of, should I close my eyes?
yeah, yeah.
It was a joke,
All
Sarah.
right.
It was a joke. Come on. So, Sarah, I'm going to shift that over to you now. So obviously, let's kind of keep this in the music video thing. I think it'll just be easier for you to sort of focus on one area. So
Yeah.
now he has this song done, right? And now you guys have to do a video with it. So let's talk about your gear and the cameras and all the stuff, the software that you use, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. So mine is it's more simple. It's simpler. That's the word.
Less moving pieces.
Less moving pieces, yes. So I use the Sony A7 III. That is, we actually both have a Sony A7 III. We actually are using right now our, what's it called? Aperture 360?
300D.
300D. Why did I say 360?
Almost.
I'm sorry. He's more the gear guy. I just hold the cameras and I use them. I'm still in the learning process of knowing what they are and really diving into the terminology. But that's pretty much what we use. We have our LEDs and our cameras, and I like to use the 50 millimeters, but we have correct me if I'm wrong, 104?
Well, we have a 24 to 105.
24 to 105.
An 85 prime, a 50 prime, 24 prime, all the different f-stops.
Yeah.
So also your software.
Yes, my software, I use DaVinci. I started on Adobe and I realized, why waste your time waiting for it to crash
Oh no.
when you can just edit and get a project done? And DaVinci, it's free unless you buy the studio version, which is a one-time payment.
It's like $300.
We love non-subscriptions.
Yeah.
I get to edit and not think about it, and then I don't have to add that to people's budgets. You know how some people do that? They'll take their software and they'll add it, and it's good for everybody. And I actually find it more user-friendly, especially learning it, and then the coloring and the editing and the workflow. It's a million times better for me. So that would be kind of my setup, my gear, my software.
Cool. And that's perfect. I mean, I've got DaVinci Resolve Studio actually here on the computer that we're recording this little podcast, webcast, GoToMeeting thing on. So, it is a killer piece of software, and believe me, I'm not even a novice. I'm like sub-novice. I can barely launch the program, look at it, and get it to do something. Yeah, I'm not a video guy. I do what I have to do, and I'll be using that, no doubt, to edit this very piece here that we're working on, and it's hellish powerful, and
yeah.
So that's good, and yeah, it works really well with slick audio boxes. So
right,
it's good.
We've got two sitting right in front of us.
I've got.
we like to hear that. That's a good
4K footage editing, little to no glitches.
Oh yeah.
And I'll usually be running about. I think the most I've done was 12 to 15 clips. He tells me I have to do it differently.
Well.
I tend to layer my clips because for me it's an easier workflow, and I'll have like 12 clips just playing and in 4K, and it works perfectly.
You gotta love that. So I'm going to talk briefly about your machine since we're kind of on that whole thing, and then Erica, we can talk about yours too. So on the slick audio machine that we got for Sarah is our T4300. Which is our X series machine, 10-core box that has a WX8200 video card, and it is a gnarly card, man. That thing just chews up video like there's no tomorrow. And I think you guys are running 64, 128 gig RAM in that.
I want to say 64.
64 gig, yeah.
Maybe not. Yeah, I don't know.
That might be 128. I'm too lazy to look it up, and we're in the middle of doing this anyway, so it would take me time. I'd have to move shit around. So, but yeah, nonetheless, we're talking, a very powerful computer, but the reality of it is not a terribly expensive one, especially when you compare it to a Mac Pro, cheese grater, trash can. Well, they all belong to the trash can.
Got him.
Sorry. That was rough. Machine that, quite honestly, is less bloody powerful than that. And
I think if we
literally, and I can't speak from experience in this. I mean, we've had customers that literally spend almost $40,000 on a machine that was not as powerful as what you're running there.
Seriously, I think ours would have been like in the Mac world like 15,000 or something, like just an astronomical number for no reason. Like,
because it's got a name on it and it looks like a cheese grater. I mean, and that's without the monitor, by the way. So remember, they want
yeah.
$6,000 for the monitor. It's $5,000 for
Oh
the
yeah,
monitor
yeah,
and $1,000 for the stand. That kind of shit blows me away. So you're over 20. So you're over
yeah.
20. You're $21,000 just to have a single monitor solution to there. Not that I want to beat them to death, but so that's generically what we're running there. And
Yeah.
Eric, you've got the T4200, so the model right before it, X series processor. So we're talking 10th gen, 9th gen.
Yeah.
Intel procs on that, and I think you have 64 gig of RAM in yours.
Yep.
Is there? Yep. So that's 64 in it, and I think you have the 5100 card, video card.
It's not the workstation card.
It is a workstation card. It's just not.
Oh, you're talking about the studio, not this one. No, that's the 7100.
7100's in the other machine. Okay. So
Yep.
there you go. So we did a pretty snotty one there too. So it's good. I mean, that gives folks an idea. You've talked about video, you've talked about 4K, you've talked about track counts and quantities of excuse me, neural DSP plugins, and or amp sims plugins, right? And that's I think that's a good handle for our audience to hear that kind of stuff and then at least understand what machine ran it. So they can kind of say, well, yeah, geez, if I'm doing something like this, I don't have to worry about this stuff. I want, the 4300 series machine So I think that helps. So thank you very much, both of you, for sharing the information there. That's
absolutely
critical. I mean, it's good stuff. So I'm going to finish up with, because I've already sucked up near an hour of your time. And so I'm going to finish up with a question. If you could change anything about the industry, and that is music for the most part, and that would be, audio and video, what would you change? And I'd like both your take on that.
Okay, I'll start if you don't mind.
Yes, that's fine. I gotta think.
From the music side, I think it comes down to like inclusivity, I guess, and attitudes. There are way too many people who think that they are too good for you. And I think that's nonsense. I think whether you're just starting or you're a seasoned vet, whether you make, $5 a song or you're a multimillionaire doing what you do, it doesn't matter. Like you can't have an attitude about it. Like obviously you might know more than somebody else and you might be more, a veteran. And I'm not saying that you need to like listen to these people. Like, if you're a veteran, I'm not saying you have to listen to a newbie like they know everything. But to think that you don't belong or they don't belong in your presence or vice versa, like that's ridiculous. Like if you're a newbie and you look up to the guys, you should, you could look up to a guy and respect him and be like, that guy's really good or girl is really good and I want to be able to do that. But to think like that you don't belong near them or they don't belong near you, I see that all the time. I see it constantly. I see these little niches and cliques where people are like, oh, why are you even by me? And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like we're all trying to just do this for the love of it. Because honestly, like the people who go to be record producers are not because they're like, this is a stable, viable career path that I can go down. It's because we love doing it, and it's the same with video. Like our jobs are not stable. It's not like, oh yeah, this is, we're not going to school for 4 years to come out and be kind of guaranteed a job. Like the thing that drives us to do this is because we love doing it. So, if people could just like kind of drop their ego a little bit and just be more cool with everybody, I think that's awesome. I think that's what I would love to see kind of change from the music industry and whatnot. I think a little bit.
Industry culture, we'll kind of call it that. I'll touch base in my 2 cents. Sarah, let's
to tie on to what he's saying, I think two separate things. One, healthy competition. Like, just because someone's your competition doesn't mean you can't work together. I do think there's a element of, oh well, I'm better than this person, or this, or they're not as good, or oh, there are competitions, so now we have to do this and everything. And it's like, I feel like there's a level of, all right, you're both creative. You're, maybe some people will be better suited for what you do, and vice versa. I think there's a balance that needs to be met with some, kind of saying, you know what, you do you, I'll do this. Maybe you'll do something that I can look at and be inspired by, instead of being like, if you know what I'm saying,
Cutthroat.
cutthroat. I
I
think
get
there's
it.
some people in the industry who are kind of like that. Another thing is, I wish people didn't look down on those people who didn't go to school for things, because so I'm not trained because of any like New York Film School or whatever, which if you went there, that's absolutely great, like, and you're able to learn and you're able to grow. And there's some people who just say, no, I'm going to learn everything I can by my own time. And I think people look at that sometimes and they're like, oh well, you didn't go to school. And I think that kind of commentary should, how am I saying this?
Not be?
Not be. I think your work should really speak for itself.
Yeah.
And I think there's too much weight on, well, you didn't go to school. And I don't know. I think it's unfair.
Yeah.
Very, it is, and it's funny you mentioned. You know, I do have a pile of degrees, and none of them are in audio, but yet where am I? I have a one minor in computer science, but yet my $1 million+ company is it's an IT company. But geez, I wouldn't have been doing this for 35+ years, if I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I built some massive data centers,
Yeah.
in my career and my time. And yeah, the product, the result of your work is the product of your knowledge and your willingness to not only learn, but to execute and do whatever it takes. And that's the secret sauce. I mean, the guy who made, whatever your favorite pizza is, right? I mean, you could say, well, he just made a pizza. That guy just does a pizza shop. No, he's making a lot of people freaking happy,
Yeah.
on a Friday night, a Saturday night, a Monday night, whatever. So I don't care what you do, whether it's, in our business and genres, or if it's making pizza, or if it's, whatever. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Now, I would hope my surgeon went to school, it's
That's
operating.
understandable.
Little different.
Totally different story, right? But
The creative field.
excluding a few careers, for the most part, it is absurd to look at somebody in our industries, especially, to be able to say, well, geez, you didn't go to school. What, are you kidding me? I mean, so you're telling me the creative mind, it still doesn't come to play here? I could send somebody to school for the next 30 years, and if they have no creative talent whatsoever, they're going to fail miserably. And that's just all there is to it. So, yeah, school is not an end all be all, by any stretch of the imagination. And if you don't mind, I'm going to comment too on the attitude or the culture, as I had mentioned. This culture is splintered into many different areas. And the gear side, I only use this, and I don't. Can you hear the bats flying around in the background? Pardon me, but get fucked. It's I can't tolerate that. Everybody hears something differently. Our ears are shaped different. Our
Right.
brains interpret it different. When you see something, are you really seeing what I'm seeing? Is this color blue really the same color blue that you're seeing?
Yeah.
Audio is subjective, and video is subjective. You like what you like, and that doesn't make somebody else's opinion of it bad or wrong.
Hmm.
I like, there's folks that we deal with that have, $200 interfaces, with two channels going on, and they're happy as a clam. If you're
Yeah.
happy and it does what you need it to do, and by the way, let's, talk about Adam Young in Owl City. I mean, we're talking a guy there that had barely enough equipment to run and did a #1 record. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not a freaking joke. I mean, this guy slammed a number, not one, but more than one number one single, straight out of the ballpark, and did it almost overnight. And oh yeah, did a cool video, in the process. I mean, this is again raw talent, right?
Yep.
It comes in. So that the attitude of not just equipment, but the attitude of the whether it's engineering or whether it's production or whether it's a musician. I've always said the great musicians, the great producers, the great engineers of the world don't have attitudes. The
Yeah.
ones that do have attitudes have something to hide, and they have an inferiority complex.
Yeah.
And I far be it, you know me well enough at this point. I just tell it like it is, and I don't care if somebody gets offended by that or not. I'll say it again, get fucked. It's you have to you have to keep looking not down at people and down at things. You need to look across the table at things, because you may be a genius at one thing, doesn't mean they're not a genius at something else. And by the way, if you both learn from one another, now you're both geniuses at something new.
Yeah.
And I'm enhancing what you had said,
Oh
earlier,
yeah.
adding on to it a bit. And it does disgust me. And yes, I run to a lot of NAMM shows, and I meet a lot of wonderful, wonderful people that are very famous
Yeah.
and so humble. Devin Townsend, I mean, Pete Thorne. I mean, these guys are huge.
Yeah.
And they're some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. And they're just very, Marcos Foley, Alex Argento, Virgil Donati. I mean, I can go on and on. I mean, I work with these folks all the time. They're great people.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave Cleveland. I want to talk about a freaking player down in Nashville, A-list player. Oh my dear God, this nice guy you want to meet in your life. I mean,
Yeah.
but then I've also met the opposite, and I'm not going to mention any names. You don't want to piss anybody off, but
Yep.
it's
Oh yeah.
when I run across that, I do okay, whatever, and I
Right.
just move on. I move on because I know
Right.
darn well they may live in their own little world and solar system, and but that's not the ones the rest of us live in, and
You're right.
so it's an interesting culture.
Yeah.
And yes, I would hope that more people, and especially I think as things are filtering down, like we talked about the internet piece before, I think as things are filtering down to more internet, when there's more, I'm going to use the term little guys, right? So non-multimillionaire, big Capitol Records, which by the way, they just closed their main office in Hollywood. I don't know if you guys know that. They closed the
No, I
big
did
studio
not.
up there. Yeah, the main, it was the production. Yeah, it's done.
Yeah.
It's done. It's closed as of March 1.
Whew.
Wow.
So that just goes to show you, right? So the little guy's taking over. And even though you say we're the little guys, I mean, we're all little guys now because the
Yeah.
internet's, hundreds of millions at this point.
Right.
So, and that's okay, because now it's leveled the playing field out for, folks like yourselves, ourselves, and whomever else is watching, to be next. And whether your spotlight's a day, a month, a year, or a lifetime, whatever that means to you is good.
Yeah.
Everybody's bar is different, and a height of the bar to raise the bar,
Yeah.
raise the bar. So yeah, and Sarah, you mentioned about the competition. The people don't want to work, and unfortunately, in a lot of times in audio, and especially from our side, like the computer end, you get the Mac heads, you get the PC heads, and then you have the real people, and that I would like to say that just look at it as this is a tool to get a job done.
Yeah.
No different than when I pick up the phone to make a phone call, or whatever. I mean, it may be your preferred phone today, but doesn't mean it's gonna be your preferred phone tomorrow. Keep an open mind, and if you
Yeah.
can find a tool that makes your workflow better, your output, your final product better,
Yeah.
where you can either make more money off of it, which is usually my driver. It's like, can we do something better with this? I mean,
Right.
it's a business, right? I mean, audio may be fun, and we did get in it because we love it, but it's still a business. We got to make money.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's a big thing, is to realize that the equipment that you buy, the pieces that you put in there, they're all tools to get a job done. And you may love doing it in the end product, but it's still a job, and that doesn't make it bad. Love what you
Yeah.
do, right? You don't work a day in your life. I don't know. I still
Right.
seem like I work a hell of a lot, but I do love what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, there has to be levity in this. Got to have some humor. Bill, is there anything you guys want to, tell us that we haven't already heard, that we don't know, to kind of wrap things up?
Working on.
You know, what you're working on, whatever. I mean,
Oh man.
guys doing
Okay.
this.
So I do have to say, there's a band that I just finished called Fly in Formation. This is a prog artist from Washington, D.C. His name is Dante Frizziello. He's kind of the brain of everything. That record's going to be coming out within the next couple months. So I would definitely say
Drummer works with
look
him
out
on
for
the
that. And
album.
actually, yeah, the drummer, his name is Nathan Sletner. He works with Virgil a lot.
Oh, Donati.
Yeah, he was his drum tech when touring was a thing. And what else did he? I don't know. I think he may have just been his drum tech. I don't know if he was a student of his or something, but I know for a fact he was a drum tech, which is how Dante and Nathan met. Anyways, Fly
Yeah.
Information. You can look them up on Instagram and kind of follow them. Nothing is really out yet, but you can see the rollout plan, and it's pretty impressive. Dante does a very good job. He's a very structured person.
I'm actually working on the documentary for it too.
Yeah.
So I shot when he was in the studio, and there were some occasions. So when they were doing some stuff in Nashville, I had to piece that together. But Dante took all that footage. But
Yeah.
I'm actually I got part 1 done out of 4, unless he changes that because he's known to change things.
I know, right? But so that record was done. I finished up another band. Their first EP is called Escape Artist. They're from Milton, PA. They're really cool. They're pretty heavy. I don't know if everybody's into that, but so yeah, we have a lot of projects coming up, a lot of music videos that are coming out, and we're very fortunate to continue working in COVID. COVID obviously has taken a hit on most people. It's obviously taken a hit on us, but we're making it through, and we're doing it just like everybody else. So we're very lucky there.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say we are very lucky as a company to have met you guys and dealt with you and everything that you've done for us. I mean, I personally am hellish proud of both of you. You know, it's just cool. I mean, when you meet people with raw talent and they're just genuine people, that's we just talked about that earlier, right? And it's huge. So now I'm just so glad to be working with you folks, and man, thank you. Thank you for using our stuff. Thank you for talking today, and we'll have links. And,
How do we find you online?
oh yeah, how do we find you online?
All right, so you can look up Novro, Novro Studios, and even if you Google that, you should be able to find us. We're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We're not Twitter because I don't really like to use Twitter, but we're most places. So you can find our work there. You can find our video work on the website if you look up novrostudios.com. You can find our audio work there. The website's going through a redesign, so hopefully it'll look prettier soon. I don't know when, but soon.
But
And,
phone number for folks to call if they don't want to web it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's 570-417-7261, and that is my cell phone. So you can text or call. I'm very, very open to texting and calling with anybody. I try to be a friendly personality. I try to be, open to everybody, whether they're a brand new artist who's never done anything before, or whether they're, very well seasoned that are 8 records in. We're very open to working with everybody and really making it like a comfortable, good environment. I always just say, like, we're just hanging out. Just hanging out. Just having a good time. Just hanging out.
Hanging.
Just hanging out.
Cool. Guys, Eric, Sarah, thank you so much for, again, meeting with us today and taking the time out of your busy day